Federal Railroad Administration, Office of Railroad Safety, Hazmat Compliance, December 2011, Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Field Reporting Procedures and Forms. Data is vital at all levels of the organization in order to ensure the adequate use of the FRA's limited inspection investigation resources. Because of this, the vital inspectors consistently, accurately report the result findings related to the inspection investigation activities. Reports should be clearly, concise, and factual. The FRA goals of the have inspectors report completed as uniformly possible to ensure the accuracy of environment enforcement data. Uniform application has material regulation throughout the regulated community. The hazmat material inspector routinely generates the 5 types of report: inspector report form 97, the violation form F16180-110, notice of individual alleged form 6180-80, and hazmat material incident and compliance investigation reports Viva memorandum. Report presentations conducted with the FRA form 6180-86. The following guidelines is completing with the 5 types of routine reports. 5.1 Inspection report field for FRA form 96. Completing the report. Inspection reports completed electronically using the railroad inspection system, the personnel computers. Below the listing of the fields of the railroad inspection system, personal computer system applicable to inspection reports. A brief description of what each field representation. Note that the lookup of the binoculars located at the top of the railroad inspection system personnel computers provided with a drop-down menu containing a list of possible choices pertaining to each particular field or most fields to activate the drop-down list. 1. Place the cursor over the block of the field desired with the right click or tap on the cursor pad. Move the cursor over the binoculars right to the click of the tap on the cursor pad. When a drop-down list appears, choose the correct applicable data. Right click on the tap of the cursor pad. 4. Move the cursor to the select box at the bottom of the table and right click on the tap of the cursor pad to enrich the field. The inspector's name. The name of the inspector completing the report of the railroad inspection system personal computer fills it out automatically. The inspector's signature. The field is only seen by the printed copies of the report. The original printed copy that handled and mailed to the inspected entity will be original signature of the inspector completing the report. Other aspects that printed by the Office of Railroad Safety data site by a US 96 generator will be electronically copied by signature. Inspector's identification number. The 5-digit inspector identification number is automatically filled in. The report name. Each report will receive the separate sequential number reverting to the number 1 at being each of the calendar year. No other report numbers are allowed. Date. The railroad inspection system personal computers will automatically default the current date of the inspection report is created with unless another date specified by the time of the report's creation. The report shall accurately reflect the date of the inspection. When preparing a report for the incident investigation, either initiated by either the National Response Center or the Hazmat Material Incident Report, the DOT Form 65F 580001. 5800.1, the inspector will enter the date and the inspector began with the investigation. RNC, enter the entity being inspected, the railroad or company. Enter RRC, railroad company or code. The field of the alphabetical railroad company assigned with the FRA Office of Railroad Safety. Use the local binoculars to select the appropriate code. If the company, the railroad code does not appear in the drop-down, the FRA Knowledge Management Division. Contact. Division. Click on the division code and select the default code. It appears to the left of the blank of the company subdivision. The field contains the subdivision of the railroad. Use the lookup of the binoculars to get the drop-down list of the subdivision. Select the appropriate code. If in the mandatory field with the FRA, both, but should be left in the blank for the company as if the railroad short line consists of one subdivision. Enter the subdivision. Railroad company of the representative report information. The field provides for the basic 2 separate field seen on the printed report. The railroad company name and address of the railroad company representative on the printed report are both taken from this field. From city name, the field represents the city in where the inspection took place. The user may key in the place, may use the binocular lookup to select the list of the valid city names and location reference. If a keyed, it must match the valid name of the database for preparing the report of investigation. Incident investigation initiated under the National Nuclear Regulatory Commission of the Hazmat Material Incident with the report of the DOT Form 5801. The inspector should enter the city with the incident with the discovered with the field left blank and the inspection did not occur with a defined city. From city code, the field contains the General Service Administration city code of alphanumeric digit with the location where the inspection took place or originated is automatically entered in the base of the city name and entry. The city name is blank. The inspection occurred outside of the city and the field is left blank. State, the name of the alphabetical state postcard, two-letter abbreviation for the location where the inspection occurred with the preparing the report of the incident investigation initiated either by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that has material incident report form 5801. The inspector will either enter the state where the incident is discovered. State and code. The entry of the two-digit GSA state code obtained with the program with the location reference to the file automatically entered the code represents the name of the state in which the inspection occurred. From county name, the field contains the county name of the location where the inspection took place and originated. The preparing of the report of the incident investigation initiated by either the Nuclear Regulatory Commission as a material incident report form 5801. The inspector will enter the county where the incident was discovered. The software normally generates the county name based on the city name used. However, multiple county names are linked in the city to the city name. If the city is blank, the field will require the user to enter the appropriate name. If the consult drop-down menu in the county name, leave the blank and no city is involved. From county code, the field contains the GSA county code, but the application where the inspection took place and originated automatically generated based on the county name, designation, city, and county name. The items are completed whenever the inspection takes inspection with the designation other than the location identified from the blocks. If these inspections conduct a single location is not necessary to complete these items, the designation, city, and county code. The field contains GSA, city, and county codes for the location where the inspection is ended. If needed, from the city code, the entry instructions. Source code. The code describes the reason for the inspection below. Our authorized code for the hazmat material inspection. A. Regular inspection. B. Compliant investigation. C. Accident investigation. D. Special investigation. E. Waiver and specification. One-time approval or special permit investigations. H. Nuclear route shipment. 8. And R. Re-inspection. File number entry, depending on the source code of the field, shows the connection of the previous report, or it can be used with the project designations. It can be up to 20 characters in length. Accompanying the inspector of the field contains 5-digit inspector identification number of every company inspector. If none of the field blank is the field is blank, the identifying number will be validated against the inspector database in the software. For reporting requirements, section 4.4, inspectors involved with the multiple inspectors of delays. Milepost from not applicable, milepost to not applicable, outside normal shift. The field identified the time spent on the railroad property outside of the inspector's regular work shift. The start time begins when the inspector arrives on the railroad property and end time when the inspector leaves the railroad property. Inspector point. The field contains the name of the specific site in which the inspection was conducted with a repair facility, plant, building, etc. Inspector should be specified enough to support the future actions necessary. Building A, North Platte Yard, Track 3, Departure Yard. Maximum 50 characters may be entered in this field. Activity code. These fields contain the codes describing all activities taken during the inspection. All listed activity codes their means located in the following instructions in section 513. Units. The field indicates the number of the units for the activity code. The location has the maximum of 1 and a minimal value of 1 for each of the code entered in the mandatory. Subunit. The field indicates the number of elements associated with each of the unit. When the review shipping papers, shipper facility inspector would record one of the unit, each session, one subunit, in each shipping paper reviewed. From longitude and latitude, not applicable to latitude to longitude, not applicable. Line items, because their information reported within the multiple discipline center block must be used to record different categories for the information. Other blocks applicable to one discipline must be not another. There are 3 kinds of line items that may be entered for the FRA defects. Non-FRA defects, observation, inspector, non-FRA defects, observations, and inspectors' comments. FRA defects. Line items are used to be used to record the defects found during the inspection. When a rail car defect is observed, seals will be removed from the inspection. The seal number must be recorded and specified in the seal removal procedure, Chapter 7. Non-FRA defects. Line items that are used to record defects that do not amount to the FRA Defects Association of American Railroads, the condemnable defects. Inspector comments. Line items that are used inspectors to say something of the railroad or record inspection with no inspection were taken. In a railroad inspection system personal computer, to change the line item, simply click the radio button next to the line item, then type what you want to select. The initial number, the number the numeric field of the 3-digit, no decimal, in the railroad inspection safety system personal computer. To add a new line item, simply click the yellow plus sign icon for the total part, or on the toolbar, press F4. Each of the reports shall begin with the item 1, continuing with the numerical succession. Initial milepost. The particular tank car, freight car, trailer, etc. is based on the inspection entering the report marking in its initials here. Maximum 4 alphabetical characters allowed for the field. Equipment track. The field will contain the equipment number, the inspected item, the reporting mark, and given in with a card. Number must be also shown. A maximum of 6 numerical cards are allowed to numerical characters are allowed to field. Type of kind, applicable only with the non-hazmat activity codes, Title 49 CFR and U.S. Standard Code. The inspector may keep the Title 49 CFR and U.S. Standard Code, may present function key to F2 to see the list of all codes. The inspector may also select the code from the list. The Title 49 CFR U.S. Standard Code must be Executive Emergency Order 107 to 171 through 774, 176 through 180. Alright, your defect code is entering the subsection of the Title 49 CFR U.S. Standard Code under the defective observation in the is recorded. Subrule. The field contains the subsection in the defect code under with the defect is recorded, and the speed not applicable, class not applicable, train number, site. The field is optional and can be used to provide additional description whether the defect is located. The special notice for repairs not applicable. Number of occurrences. Frequently, a single inspection unit and multiple defects of the same type. You may indicate the number of times specifically details is found in a single unit of the inspection here. If no entry is made, defect counts of 1 will be used. Activity code. The activity code must match one of the activity codes reported, but the header section of the report must correspond with the reported Title 49 U.S. Standard Code defect and subrule combination used by the line item. Description of the field contact, description defective observation, common sees a maximum of 100,000 characters permitted for a narrative description. The description can be keyed when the system description can be pulled in from the drop-down menu. Violation recommended enter yes or no. Write notification of the FRA remedial action is the if violation recommendation is yes, and any of the railroad written notification remedial action must be required optional or blank depending upon the circumstance. If the entity is not railroad, it is shipper co-signing a written notification remedial action may be indicated optional but not be specified that the required. If violation recommended is no, the required but must be checked with a written notification remedial action, but optional may be checked. But if the optional is checked with the company, you cannot compel with them to respond. Response is strictly voluntarily. Latitude and longitude is not applicable. 512 remedial action responses. When a railroad company representative to report back to the inspector of remedial action taken, the inspector should record these actions as follows. Railroad action code. The railroad action code, the date of the action was completed with the indicated whether the railroad comments are included but must be entered in the form returned for the inspector with the originated report. The inspector will then fill in the boxes with the valid railroad action code that can be found in the pressing of the table lookup button on the function key to F2 key. Date, year, model, year, month, and date. The field contains the date of the remedial action with the taken, but the railroad in this calendar can be used the date and the key to manually. Comments on the back, yes or no. Completed by the railroad. This field is only seen and printed a copy of the inspector report. This checkbox in which the railroad indicates the comments pertaining with the inline item are included with the back of the form with the returning of the inspector. It may contain a wired end there of the comments to be shown, but the railroad must indicate with the back of the railroad inspection report copy. Alright, 513, detailed activity inspection task code information has material inspection. Step 1, if perform one or more of the following inspection task codes are as applicable. Alright, activity code 107B, discipline 8, special permits component authorities approval 1 unit per approval examine the activities involved with the oversight one-time movement approval. The compliance inspector should conduct an online review of the appropriate and pipeline hazard material safety administration or FRA website. Trim most current permit approval is determined with the compliance level. 107G, discipline H, registration of person who offered the transportation hazard material. One of the unit of the registration recorded reviewed. The registration can be normally verified by the shipper plant headquartered through the PH Pipeline Hazard Material Safety Administration if necessary. 171H, discipline activity code 171H. Discipline Code, General Requirements of North American Shipping Requirements of the U.S. International Transportation Standard Regulations, one of each of the railroad inspection usually regarding the bulk and non-bulk section package. See Section 4.4, inspections involving the multiple inspector days or days. Note 1, inspection session is the time spent in the facility performing the compliance inspection. This could be the date and multiple days provided with the inspection connection with the initial review. Note 2, type of the used conjunction with a BP and MP um, inspections. 172C, Activity Code. Discipline 8, Shipping Paper Information. One of the unit record inspection sessions, one subunit for the hazmat material shipping paper examined. In emergency response information, emergency response numbers considered part of the shipping part of the not recorded separately. These codes do not include transport train consisting inspection activities of C174B. Activity Code 172H, Discipline Code H, Employee Training Documents. One for each unit inspection session for the both employee task security training. Each employee record examine is a subunit. 172I, Discipline H, Security Plans. One unit inspection for each plan. The inspector must examine and review all the components of the plan in order to claim this unit for the defects against the Class 1 railroad source D. The inspector must include the reference number provided with the regional specialist. 174A is the activity code. Discipline H, general requirements. One unit of the inspection for each of the car that transporting hazmat material. The activity code can only be used when the assessing compliance with 174.3, 174.5, 174.9, 174.14, 174.16, 174.50. All right. 174 activity code 174B. Discipline H and O. General requirements, one of each of the train consists of inspecting. The inspection includes reviewing the train documentation of each of the rail car containing hazard material documentation, each of the changes the placement of the hazard containing the material to planning the compliance with the basic hazard material shipping paper discretion. Using submit each of the inspection basic shipping paper discretion of each of the containing hazard material. The activity code may be also using assessing the compliance with 174.6. Note, inspectors must use the activity code of the TPLH to record the inspection associated with the train placement requirement. Note, inspectors must use this code instead of 172C when inspecting shipping papers specified in a particular train. Alright, your activity code BP, bulk packaging, your discipline code H and M. Bulk packages apply to bulk packaging and turning intermodule portable tanks into module bulk containers or other tanker car. The unit can count as one. Each ground level inspection does not include the top of the level inspection. Includes each of the inspection marking the plant cards, structural integrity, security of this rail car. I use the subsystem for each of the comprehensive inspection in the package. The addition with the above the inspection criteria area of the comprehensive inspection includes the inspection of both the sides of the bulk package, top level inspection of motor power and equipment. Inspectors should not report subunits. The activity code may only be used when assessing compliance with 172, 304, 305, 302, 304, 326, 172, 502, 172, 516, 172, 50. Your activity code FC or freight container, discipline code HM. Inspector of the freight container, general handling and loading. The requirements of the unit of the count is usually exterior inspection, counter container inspection, the unit, marking placard, structural integrity, security of the rail car. Use the subunit for the comprehensive inspection of the package edition with above the inspection criteria. The comprehensive inspection includes the inspection interior containing with the block of the bracing, loading, and the segregation requirements of the motor power and equipment. Inspection should not report subunits. The activity may not only be used when addressing the compliances 174.55, 61, 81, and 177.834. Note that bulk packaging code to record internal module tank inspections. Alright, activity code HMII, discipline code H, incident reporting of by 5801, notification nuclear regulatory and NAR discovered during the inspection. The use of the activity code requires the comprehensive investigation to determine the casual factors associated with the accident. This count using each of the investigation. NB, the activity code non-bulk, the discipline H. One each of the unit packages inspected the use of the activity code to respect an inspector to total access the entire package can determine the compliance with the performance of the packaging and requirements in addition, including associated closures. All right. This activity code NFY, discipline code H. Notification of nonconformance. The activity code is used in the noncompliant package is found other than responsible personal property. The activity is used to record the activity necessary to report noncompliance in this report. Responsible person. This count is used in one count for already related activity. This code is used in a separate inspection report performed after the fact in order to document the compliance with a reasonable person. All right, activity code ORI, or Owner's Respect Records Inspection. Activity code discipline H. Owner Records Inspection. One unit each section. One unit each inspection session. A subunit is examined to record a particular package, whether it is one record or multiple records for a package. Example: the owner records would include a not limited to maintenance record, car file, qualification record, W2, R1. The count is a subunit per package, regardless of how many records examined for that package. The activity includes the change of the specification. Tank cars are related to certification of the construction reporting record, retaining requirements, etc. Activity code QAP, Quality Assurance Program. Discipline H, Quality Assurance Program requirements, inspection, testing, specification, tanker cars. The activity code is used during the activity to determine compliance with Statute 179.7 code of the unit with the inspection, audit, special sessions. The subunit of each sub-element examined facility of the Quality Assurance Program. See Section 4.4 inspection involving multiple inspectors and days. All right. Activity code RADX, which means radar speed monitoring. Discipline code HOT. Claim of one unit for each of the radar speed monitoring, including coupling speed unit, speed and audits, regardless of the number of locomotive trains and cars subject to the monitoring. Record each of the locomotives and train movement and monitor as one subunit. Statute 174.86. Note that the FRA participating in state employees must not perform radar monitoring sessions unless they have received certain qualification from an FRA employee who holds a current certification stationary to radar trainer. See Chapter 3 for general manual for complete discussion of FRA policy. All right, activity code RAM, radioactive materials, discipline code H. Radioactive materials, one each of the package inspected with the activity code is used in the shipment of radioactive materials in the industry. Type A and B packages activity code may be only used when they assessing the compliance of Statute 173.410 through 173.477. Alright, your activity code SWT, discipline code H, handling placard, railway cars, transportation vehicles, freight containers. This count is used of one entire inspection session. Use the activity code must include the observation of railway cars, transportation vehicles, freight containers that are subject to the requirements. Activity code TC, tanker car. Activity code TC, tanker car inspection. Discipline code HM, tanker car inspection. One each of the unit, each ground level inspection does not include the top level inspection, including the inspection marking placard structural integrity. The subunit of the comprehensive inspection of the tanker car, addition with the above inspection criteria of the comprehensive inspection included with the ground level inspection, both sides of performing the top level inspection. Motor power and equipment inspectors should not report subunits. The activity may not be only used for the assessing compliance with the Statute 172.302A1, 172.304, 172.502A11, 172.51.6. C26, 173.31, 174.50, 179, 180. All right, activity code TPLH, discipline H, and training placement card of the flat card, railway car, transportation vehicles, ferry car, one of each of the train inspections during the compliance with the positioning of the train and of the plat cards. All right, activity code THRM, discipline code doesn't have one train riding, one unit for each train ride. The activity is used to record the train ride in conjunction with verifying compliance with the hazmat material regulations that are associated but not limited to Section 174.9. This includes but are not limited to hazmat material documentation, train crew inspection procedures of the hazmat material at the point of origin, general handling of the hazmat material. Note that there are no defect violations associated with the activity. The inspector will use applicable activity code for recording and defecting the violations. All right, activity code ULT, discipline H. Tanker car unloading and the transloading operation unit inspection, car loading, car unloading. or transloading operation 173G 174-6. Step 2, it is multiple discipline activity performed with the appropriate code. All right, step 2, multiple discipline activity performed. Enter the appropriate code. 209, remedial action. Whether appropriate, each of the inspector remedial action not required for the railroad. General manual for the guidance units. 1 unit taken for each of the currents. Activity code 215D, the freight car mechanical inspection, freight car safety standards, safety appliance, power brake compliance for the condition listed in Appendix D, the Title 49 CFR Part 215. Note that the hazard material operational practice inspector finds federal defects on the car. They must enter the appropriate defect code. Also use the appropriate motive, power, and equipment activity code for each of the defective car. Units, 1 each of the unit for freight car inspected. Activity code 217E, emergency order. This code is used for the observation condition with determine the compliance with the emergency order. The inspector must explain the inspection of the narrative. Record units record 1 unit for each day. Subunits record 1 subunit for each of the associated with the record reviewed unless instructed differently by the head freight headquarters regarding specific emergency order. 217.0, other operations observation. They are used for cover inspection not otherwise specified, such as 217L, 217R, 217T. Those inspections are within the art. The inspector will claim the subunit each of the crew yard master continually observe the provided, but the inspector made compliance. Made a conscious effort to determine the compliance of the code is used when observing the safety-related railroad employees performing the duties covered under the railroad operating rules, railroad safety rules, and when examining mandatory operating information posted at his facility. One count is for an entire yard for the equivalent facility. 217T, tampering issues except as provided in Statute 21861, tampering is found when the equipment not operated should not be recorded on SAP T218T, but should be recorded under the comments to the railroad. The railroad manager notified immediately. 1 unit record for each of the locomotives being operated. 229, locomotive cabin inspection. Locomotive cabin inspection activity to be used by the discipline for the collateral duties required for the board locomotives. On-board inspection discussing operational crew members. The inspection may include, but is not limited to, determination of locomotive daily inspection, passageway, tripping hazards, cab sanitation, cab lighting, speed indicators in check. Note the activity code should be used for the locomotive inspection included with the RCL. Note if the inspector other than motor power and equipment finds the federal defects on locomotive that must be appropriate, the defect of the use of the appropriate motor and power equipment activity code for each of the defective unit. 1 unit is claimed for each locomotive assessment. 232, freight brake and training freight brake train observation. Freight brake train observation. Any brake test required by the Part 232 observed by the Hazmat material operational practice inspector. The activity code used and associated with the motor power and equipment 232 defects include collateral activities such as the examination of Class 1 air brake test records for inspection and evaluation of the end of the train device. The activity code is used instead of the 217 activity codes. Note this is the only freight train air brake test the Hazmat material operational practice are permitted to use. If the Hazmat operational practice and find the federal defects on the card, they must enter the appropriate defect using the appropriate motor and power equipment activity code for each of the car. Defective air brakes 232 or 232A. 1 unit inspection claim for each of the train observed. Alright, activity code LTH, life tips. When using this description, inspection, write the brief description, 2 sentences or so, while the comment section of field number form 96. And then note this activity code does not include the FR inspector briefing of the railroad representative function in connection with the FR inspection form 96. 1 unit interacting with the briefing railroad contracting employee regarding with the federal regulations and issues regarding railroad safety. Count of each member of the working group of the subunit. Note the activity code does not include attending the meeting of the short line railroad operating in the labor organization regardless of whether the inspector discusses safety regulation. Alright, 514, submission of arrangement of the inspection order. The inspector will prepare to transmit inspector report form on the field 96 form 96 supporting data as follows. The original is provided with the FRA data of the contractor. When the inspector uploads the report, upload should be made with the railroad inspection service inspection system personal computer in accordance with the regional policy, at least 1 person per week. 1 copy of each report must be provided with the faculty inspector with the same day inspection when practicable. When not practicable, the report must be provided as soon as possible within 4 days of the inspection. If the defects are found with the responsibility entities outside the inspector territory, 1 copy must be forwarded to the facility, either by electronically On one additional copy that must be forwarded electronically with the railroad email address below with the railroad class 1 reported to identify the defects of the deemed for the responsibility for the carrier, the address of the forward rating report, Canadian Pacific, Union Pacific Railroad, Kansas City Southern Railroad, CSX Transportation, Norfolk South Railway, BNSF Railway, Canadian National Railway. One additional copy of the railroad provided with the regional deficiency violation occurrence with any of the regional specialist forward with the copy of the regional specialist region with the deficiency violation occurred. If the deficiency violation is severe areas nature of the inspection of the telephone facility with a deficiency violation occurred with the telephone has a regional specialist. When inspections arrive at the facility, determine if the faculty no longer offers to transports or cause hazardous materials to be transported, otherwise performs as a regulated HM function investigation will submit the memorandum email regional specialist request to remove the location of the regional inspection plan. This incident is not an inspection report should be submitted. All right. 5.2 violation. When an inspector discovers the violation, he or she determines the best method of getting compliance with the applicable regulation in coordination with the civil penalty. The inspector should complete the form 6180 violation report electronically submit the report to his or regional specialist. All right, I'm gonna cut there. We're gonna start back on page 5.2.